major issue that escapes our community is Windrush. I know people will say Windrush, is it not just for Caribbean?
I think we're
Now, the last time I spoke about
Well,
Windrush, I
it's-
think about 5 people called their parents back home and they got their situations resolved. But if
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is MOJO. Introduce yourself.
Good day, everyone. My name's Jennifer Obaseki. I'm usually running to my kids or away from my kids to my clients to do good work. And I'm the founder of Obaseki Solicitors and Estates.
Oh, great. More about you
Okay.
and what inspired you to start the business. So, how long has this business been running for?
2005.
Wow,
I
so that makes
registered
it almost 20 years.
Yes.
Wow, that's
yes,
a long time.
Really long
Great.
time. Yeah. I started it not at this particular office, but
Okay.
around the corner, Kingston Road.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
East
no.
London.
Okay, no, it's just nice to see women in business, and especially 20 years in business, because anybody who lives in the UK or does business in the UK knows it's not easy. Especially when you've gone through lots of ups and downs then.
Yes, economic cycles. We've been through crashes and booms, but we thank God.
Okay, so what's your own background?
My background, when I studied law and economics
Okay.
at Middlesex. Prior
Okay.
to that, I studied in Nigeria. I speak funny, but I can also speak broken.
Yeah.
I went to Government College Ikorodu.
Okay.
And yes, so I've got a bit of a mixture. I'm
Okay.
well travelled. I love travelling. If
Okay.
I'm not at work or I'm not in the UK, then
You're on
I'm
a
flying.
plane.
I'm on a plane. And I love business. I
Okay.
love supporting people in business, and I like property. I've gone back into doing property. I'm also a licensed auctioneer. People don't
Oh.
realise that. Yes. Yes.
Well, the woman with many hats. Background was law and
Economics.
economics, and then you got to the UK, and then you studied again, and then you started to set up.
Yes, retail.
Okay.
But then I stopped that after my second year in uni. I focused on the
Law.
working in different practices. So I was able to I was fortunate to pick up skills along the way. And that's one of the reasons why I focus on delivering good work experience for people. We try to guarantee everybody who applies, and we actually offer work experience from year 10 upwards
Oh.
to post-degree level. So I
Okay.
think you met some of the people that work next door. One of them was here when he was in his year 10,
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
he's now qualified. Yes.
Okay, so in addition to actually providing services for clients, you also help
Yes, we train.
practically raising the next generation.
Definitely. If anybody types in LinkedIn our firm name or Basiki Solicitors, you'll see the number of people we've trained.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's
then.
again a blessing. It's good to see
Okay.
people on their legal
Yeah,
journey. As far
that's
as they fly, and you know that you gave them that push,
Yeah.
for us it shows that we are doing the right thing. We're turning out good lawyers, and for them, I feel that it's just that springboard they need to fly.
Definitely.
You don't need to stay in the nest.
No.
You need to go.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a pleasure. It's a blessing.
Okay, great. So I hear all of that. So can you tell us some of the challenges you faced starting up? Because you said you were somewhere else. Yeah.
Challenges. Obviously, in the UK, space is money. We actually outlived our last lease. So we from the day till it expired, we were there. But we're finding a new place that can contain us because we've grown.
Okay.
And then obviously making sure that it's something that's resourceful. As you know, I like to have dynamic spaces that can change. Like this second space is used for training,
Okay.
for also for community, as well as having it diversified enough so that if there's assessments for clients that need to be done, they can be done here. And did have a challenge when looking for space.
Yeah.
You know, they see it's a black woman, a black owned business, it might not fit in, etc. So that's why I like to own my space,
Okay.
so that you've got that freedom anyway.
Okay.
Apart from that, there's obviously the need to give clients access to justice.
Okay.
Some clients may have a very good case, very good, but not be. It's amazing when you are able to give them the success that they deserve.
Yes.
And at times we have to enter fee agreements with clients, and we're proud that we're able to do that.
Okay. So does anything resonate with you? Please come on, hit that like button, subscribe, and the notification bell. Thank you. So you talked about clients. So what are some of the services that you offer and that you've seen the most successes in?
Well, most people know us for immigration and property. And that's because we have a success rate that you will never believe. It's like 99% successful. So most people out there know us for immigration because I've been doing it for years. I've been doing it for almost 25 years. Before I even qualified, I was doing immigration. But that's good because it means we've got our highest successes. We've got reported cases.
Yes.
So these are cases that are listed for their legal significance because they're
Case law.
Case law. So when you check up the case law,
I know a bit about
the case law you'll find for our firm will be for immigration and also for family law. Many people don't realize that our realms within family law are deep because again, I've done that for more than 20 plus years, and our legal recordings there are, when it comes down to fairness, so Court of Appeal recording.
You've been all the way to
cases. Yes, of course, because I'm one of those people that like to make sure that the clients do have justice.
Yes.
It's hard. That went there, for example, was on fairness. I felt that the judge in that case did not give us a fair hearing, and the fact that we challenged all the way and were deemed correct to have done so is really important. It's important that even if you feel that you have the odds stacked against you, if you know you're right, and if you've not been treated fairly, it's important that you stand up. There's one thing that, and that's one of the reasons why I became a lawyer. It's where I see injustice, I cannot keep quiet.
I know.
I have to say something. And therefore, the field to fall into was law. If you're going to make noise and you want to do it in the right way, or you want to stand up for people in the right way, it's a legal profession.
So is one way
if you are one of those young people that you don't keep quiet when you see something wrong being done, you can protest, you can become an activist, but you can become a lawyer.
Make a difference. Becoming a lawyer. I know. I've often been told that you should become, because I like that.
Well, you have
I know, because I love questions. I'm very curious.
Curiosity.
Ask questions, and I like the right thing being done.
When are you ready? We are waiting for you. No, it's never too late.
To become a lawyer.
We help people.
And the paperwork, the reading.
Things have changed now. Accessing the legal profession now. Lots of people return to the legal profession, come to it later in life. So never say never. All you have to do is things like the GDL, the conversion, or you can do what's called the SQE now. You never know. We'll wait for you.
I just want to make peace. I just want to make money.
Of course, and why not? As a commercial lawyer, as a lawyer that sits down as a consultant, that's another thing. Many people don't realize that when you finish, you can become an associate in a practice, or you can become a consultant and be quite independent. It's very versatile, and we're seeing a lot of women, especially, seeing how flexible it can be by returning to the law.
Family,
So you can be flexible. You can be a consultant. Yes.
Okay. So you've talked about immigration. I was actually going to ask how you found your clients, but of course, if you're working within the community, it becomes easy, and then you just work on referrals.
I love and honor my community.
I
love and honor my clients, and I give back whenever I can, because the community is what really made me and my practice. I started the practice, and literally from the moment I opened, the doors
I know, I can imagine.
It's a pleasure to serve the community, to be honest. Helping them make sure they are empowered. I call it legal empowerment, making sure you have the information to make informed decisions, not being desperate. We're often very vulnerable in our community.
I was actually going to ask you a few questions.
Because of that vulnerability, some people take advantage. And as a practitioner, I'm honest. I like to manage clients' expectations. Obviously, I do not have a magic stick, but what I do have is I have the knowledge of how to get you from A to Z and achieve you the results. And if it's not achievable, I will equally tell you, it's not that route you can take, you have to take another. But our community is often vulnerable, so it's really important for them to make informed decisions, having accurate information.
Yes, and to know their rights, because I was actually coming to, because we have a lot of young boys in the community who are stop and search is a big one. So a lot of the young boys don't know their rights when they stopped and searched. Others are too scared. Like my son actually told me when he was in his 20s that he'd been stopped and searched when he was 16. I was mad, but I didn't know at the time. I didn't tell him.
I have big boy as well, and that big boy has been stopped and searched more than 3 times. He even carries my card in his wallet because it's that bad. And I've done programs in the community about this. I've done a program on YouTube, Know Your Rights. So that's something people can Google and find. And I think we did cover stop and search as well. So it's, just so that you know, it's only if you've there's enough evidence to suspect. If there's no evidence to suspect, and an officer cannot state what that is, then you do not have to succumb to their inquiries. And if you're underage, you have the right to have an adult present. If you are being told you're on suspicion or you're being stopped and searched because of suspicion of whatever crime they want to name. So it's really important that you also take the officer's shoulder number. Even when the young people do that, sometimes their camera footage disappears when they use excessive force. So take as much evidence as you can if it happens to you. If you feel that you've been treated unfairly, do make a complaint. You can make a complaint to the inspector.
Okay.
So it's really important that we know our rights.
Yeah. If a police officer manhandles you, you have a right.
You do, and if there's injury, if there's excessive force, you go and see your GP. You know, personal injury, causing a physical damage or assault towards you, loss of property. Common claims are the loss of property and the physical assault and excessive use of force.
Okay. So I hear, because I was going to ask you about what you're doing in terms of educating the young ones. So you do a lot of reach out. And you've got a YouTube video.
You've got the YouTube videos. We have a channel, Truth and Justice TV. Okay. We do the empowerment sessions. Okay. We're also accredited to deliver quite a bit of training. Okay. If you go online, you'll see some of the courses I've done for other legal professional services as well, such as law friends. And recordings are out there. And I have taught at East London University.
Oh, yes, a fellow lecturer. We'll put all the links to these videos down below.
So absolutely. And we're keen to make sure that groups, churches, mosques, we've done so much over our history, and I'm sure many people in the Nigerian diaspora community knows us. So if you need us, just call. We'll make time. Yes. Anytime, we'll make time.
So have you written any books?
I have actually. I'll give you one before you go.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
African Women in Europe. I'm a contributor there, so you can have one before you. I'll sign it for you, Mo.
Oh, I should have brought mine then. Oh, that's nice.
But when it comes down to legal text, what I tend to have is lecture papers and lecture notes. Okay. So those are out there, and if anybody needs anything, and we also leave our lecture notes when we do workshops and things. We leave for the facilitators so that they can circulate to people. Really, I would say for the legal practice, it's important that you sit down and equip yourself. You may be in business, you may want to get onto the property ladder. One, make sure that you are fully informed, know what you're getting into. With regards to family matters, we're seeing a high increase in family matters. One of the growing areas is actually child on parent violence. I know that's something that Nigerians may not talk about, but it's happening, where young people are being not just unruly or having usual adolescent issues, but actually becoming physical. Then where does it go?
So a lot of services and all that involved. Because I know a lot about children.
So that has been a growing area where we've had the issues with our people coming in with immigration, being brought in under false pretense of jobs. It's all about understanding the fact that they have a job to do to investigate and reduce risk. And you might come and say, what's their business in my family? They have no business. However, the law is the law in the UK. It's different than back home. And for traditional practices, we have the issue of, again, physical chastisement,
corporal punishment,
physical chastisement, and these are just things that we learned back home, or disciplines that were instilled back home that are not palatable here due to changing law, differences in culture. So we have to look at that.
So, because I've been following a lot of cases on, and I think, I can understand bringing our traditions here, but you have to understand the way things work here.
Exactly.
And if you do
the law of the land. It's the law of the land. But back to the topic of immigration, that is what has been, a real, let me say, challenge for a lot of people who've come over. We are naturally large in number as Nigerians anyway. And when you have a country like the UK that says, please, we are short in workers in these different fields, come over, and we make it here. The issue then becomes when we're brought on false pretenses, or when people have bad or wrong immigration advice. That can be disastrous for some families, because as you can imagine, many of them spend their whole life savings to come. Others just make a plan that suddenly gets, let me say, destroyed because of somebody's false pretenses. That is a very big concern for me. So if you are wanting to come here, or you're here and you're experiencing immigration challenges, make sure you do go to a qualified and experienced immigration advisor. Also, there are community groups that are out there that can help you. Nigerian women, in diaspora. There's different groups, so don't feel you're alone. Do ask for help, okay? But that immigration challenge is a big one for us. Not even just the finances alone are a challenge. So many people are not putting their children on applications or trying to sort of lie about their history.
That's a complex. That sounds complex.
So because of the cost of the application, they think, okay, let's just regularize one person first. And you can understand it's a financial decision, or they see it's an economic decision, but may come back later to be quite disruptive to them.
Okay. So I was going to say, because obviously if it's affecting a lot of families, what kind of education or understanding do the people have before they actually leave Nigeria to get here?
This is the thing. Most people are just so desperate to leave and without having a plan. So you, again, be informed. That's the one thing I would say. And then, one major issue that escapes our community is Windrush. I know people will say Windrush, is it not just for Caribbean?
No, I think we're
now. The last time I spoke about Windrush, I think about 5 people called their parents back home and they got their situations resolved. But if your parents were here during the 1950s, 60s, 70s, up until mid-80s, if they were working, schooling, please check whether they had leave to remain. Even if your parents did have leave to remain and left the UK for more than 2 years, they may still qualify. Eligibility, if you're outside of the UK, is a little bit different than the eligibility if you are inside the UK. And so sometimes it's wiser for people to come to the UK on holiday and then check, because then they'll be in the UK. So that, a bit more flexible whilst they're here. Or the Home Office made mistakes or lost your documentation, you may be entitled to compensation. Why this is so important is because people are dying and not getting their entitlement for compensation. And if you don't leave a will, it means your estate won't get your compensation. That is even delayed.
So I wonder, because I want the viewers to understand. So what you're saying now is that if your parents were here in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you as a child of those parents can get papers. Is that what you're saying?
If your parents had leave to remain at the time or were settled here at the time, yes, there's a possibility. It also depends what passport they used when they came over. If they may have automatically be able to pass on the right to be in this country to you. The fact is, the government here called it the Windrush scheme, which was named after a boat that brought Caribbean people to the UK. Right. So many Nigerians, Africans, Indians think, does it actually apply to us? Is it not for Caribbeans? Yes, it does. It applies to you as Nigerians. It applies to many people who came from former Commonwealth countries. And the fact is, if you were settled here and you left, before they used to tell people if you're out of the country for more than 2 years, you lose your right to status. Whereas that is not exactly true. So find somebody who is qualified in the scheme, who you can speak to, do an assessment and evaluation of your case, and determine whether your parents were entitled, you equally are entitled, and therefore save money on all the visa applications you're trying to do. But on a serious note, find out if you're eligible and if you're also eligible to compensation. So it's twofold. Are you eligible for settlement? Are you eligible for compensation for having had it denied from you?
Okay. So does this apply to those born here or born in Nigeria?
Now, it applies.
So
it's complicated in the sense that your parents are the ones who would have had the status. Okay? And if when they left, they didn't know, or they left and they were told you've lost your status, that's where the issue is. It's all about dates of when they were here and what they were doing while they were here. And then it also comes down to how you yourself relate to them when you were born, and if you then qualify or they qualify and then you are eligible, it's important that you make your applications and also get your application for compensation in. So settlement and compensation.
So I was going to say, obviously, as you can see, it's quite complex. So it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. So you need to contact Jennifer or any of the other
You can even contact the Home Office directly.
Yeah, but
they will assess.
To be informed.
But it's good to be informed, because sometimes the Home Office even makes mistakes.
Exactly. So
they'll tell people you're not eligible, whereas we've done some appeals and unfortunately they've been wrong in giving out that advice. So please get informed.
Thank you. That's actually been very, almost like an education class, a masterclass.
Real good.
So I was going to ask you about the state of play within the legal field, especially among Nigerians. So what's that looking like? So
Now,
Nigerians in law
there was
in the UK.
a memo that I've seen today.
No tea.
A memo that I've seen today that says that is it the British Nigerian lawyers or British qualified lawyers can practice in Nigeria under a trade agreement. So watch this space. There was a dual, let me say, a bilateral agreement between Nigeria and the UK where Nigerian qualified barristers, because we call them barristers in Nigeria, could then come to the UK and do their conversion and be recognized here. So before they would come do the GDL and some other qualifications, but there's a game changer now. It's called the SQE. So if you're qualified in Nigeria and you want to practice in the UK, you do your SQE 1 and 2 and you can practice. You don't longer have to go and do that GDL here in the UK. And so it's quite easy if you are quite studious and you get the hands-on experience to come into the UK and qualify to practice here. On the reverse, in Nigeria, it's been difficult because what would happen is you'd have to do the bar 1 and 2, which was 1 if you didn't do your degree in Nigeria.
Yeah, I know. People used to go to Abuja.
Exactly,
to do that
correct, to the Abuja Law School.
Yeah.
So 2 stages and also a 3rd stage of practical experience. So now under this new trade agreement, hopefully,
They don't have to.
they will not have to. Us lawyers, solicitors and barristers who practice here would
I was
like
going to come back to you now. So I know you have a few children. You're balancing this law practice with children. So what would you say are some of the qualities that have made it possible to be so successful?
I'm blessed. I do have 5 children. People say, and I say, if you look in my bag, you might find 1 because I'm always rushing, as I said. But I'm blessed. They're understanding. And I do say having that work-life balance is a challenge at times because especially if you're a founder or owner, if the work is not done, you have to stay till it's done.
Yes.
And if that means calling, asking someone to, stay with them, or if you have to travel. Traveling was the main problem I had because when they were old enough to be cared for by other people, my issue was one of them had a health challenge. So I would be paranoid with regards to, are they going to be fine? Are they going to be fine? But once you put in place good support, good care, also adding good values to your children so that even if you're not there to say no, you have the confidence that they will say no when they need to. That's really important. So making sure you bestow good values, making sure they're in good company, safe company. That's it. And also having good helpers around you at work. Helpers that will understand that, you know what, they have children, they may need to be more flexible. That's really important.
And expectations.
And prayer. Jesus.
Thank you very much. Listen, I doff my hats because I don't know if I could do that. I only have 2 children and I think, I'm carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. But for you to have 5 and be able to still do all of this, kudos to you. Thank you, Rich. So thank you very much, Jennifer.
Thank you. Can I leave one last message? I know she'll say this one talks a lot.
Colombo, yes.
Please remember to leave your things in legacy. Many people in our community don't think about the future or don't think about the future when they've gone. So you may be sitting down doing so much and thinking, I'm doing this for my kids, but if you don't leave it in the right structure, your kids may not get nothing. And not even that, we have situations where people leave executors, and executors sometimes, when the time comes, may not be ready, may not be capable. Exactly, or themselves not be around. So it's important that you put down alternatives. It's important the will is tight. It's important that you put the property in trust. If that is the best structure for you, it's important you get tax advice from the right qualified people. So that's what I'll leave you with.
Thank you very much. Very important because it's something we don't talk about in our community. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.